My friends, this just keeps getting stranger and stranger and increasingly bizarre to where I can't even wrap my mind around it. You have no doubt heard or read online by now. If you haven't already, you're going to hear it here. TMZ broke the story of how Ed and Lorraine Warren's home that houses their occult museum went up for sale. And it was purchased with the understanding that the new owners would be the caretakers for all the objects within the occult museum for the next 5 years. So you're probably thinking, oh wow, which paranormal expert purchased the home? My first thought when I had heard that the house had been sold was, oh wow, did Jason Hawes buy the home of ghost hunters? Because, talk was early on when the owner of the Conjuring house was, and still is, having possibly mental issues and maybe selling the home. There was a lot of talk of him buying that. So that's what I thought when I heard the home had gone up for sale. No, it wasn't Jason Hawes. My next guess was, well, John Zaffis. John Zaffis would be a logical assumption because he's the nephew of Ed Warren. Not only that, but his name may be familiar to you from the Sci-Fi Network. He was the host for the sci-fi TV show The Haunted Collector. John Zaffis, like Ed Warren, has got his own museum of haunted objects that he's removed from homes and placed in his museum for safekeeping. I guess that kind of thing kind of runs in the family. I don't know. But no, it's not John Zaffis. So, you go on down the line. Well, who's next then? You think, could it be that Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventures? Because he also has a haunted museum. His is in Vegas because that's where he lives. It's not even Zach Bagans. No. The individual who purchased Ed and Lorraine Warren's home is none other than Matt Rife. Matt Rife. And you're sitting there going, Matt Rife? Well, the only Matt Rife I've ever heard of is the comedian. It couldn't be him. Bingo. He and a friend have purchased Ed and Lorraine Warren's home and are going to be the caretakers for the Occult Museum and Annabelle the Doll for the next 5 years. Yeah. How this totally came about, I'm not 100% sure. I do know that Matt Rife has a history of not just being a comedian, but also being a paranormal investigator. I don't know how far back his paranormal investigative pursuits go. I also do not know his level of expertise when it comes to handling the paranormal and possibly possessed objects. All I know is he is now the new owner of Annabelle, at least for the next 5 years. After that, I have no idea what's going to happen. But yeah, Matt Rife, the comedian. And according to the research I've done online, his plans for the home of Ed and Lorraine Warren and the Occult Museum is he is going to turn it into some sort of bed and breakfast situation for paranormal enthusiasts and paranormal investigators who wish to spend a couple of nights there to investigate the home and to investigate the Occult Museum. The implication being they can also hang out with Annabelle. So this is yet another situation where whatever energies are contained within that doll are going to be exposed to who knows how many innocent and unsuspecting people. In my professional opinion, as a spiritual practitioner who has helped numerous clients deal with the demonic and to get it out of their lives, this goes beyond being foolhardy. It's downright irresponsible because it can result in harm to others. Look what happened on the Annabelle tour in Gettysburg. Prime example. Dan Rivera passed away in his hotel room in Gettysburg. He was the handler for Annabelle the Doll because you're not supposed to touch Annabelle. And he purportedly wore blessed gloves that were filled with all these blessed holy metals and stuff. And so he'd put these gloves on and move the doll when she needed to be moved in or out of her case. He died in his hotel room, and the coroner states from natural causes. What's he going to say? Paranormal causes? Supernatural causes? No. Because when the paranormal or the supernatural decides to harm someone to that extent, they're not going to leave evidence behind. Look at how difficult it is to capture physical evidence of the paranormal in the first place. They're not going to be leaving fingerprints or marks on the body. And probably what happened is somehow that evil energy reached out to that poor man and caused a heart attack, a stroke, who knows what. But personally, I am convinced it had something to do with what's in that doll. So now we have the new owner of the home and the museum where Annabelle is housed being a comedian. I've got nothing against comedians. Man, I love Steve Martin and Eddie Murphy, and I know I'm totally dating myself here, but I don't care. But do I think Matt Rife is qualified? He may be. I don't know. I don't know anything about his background in the paranormal, and I would dearly, dearly love to find out. So if you have information on this, if you know of an article I can read online or something that kind of summarizes it, please drop the link below. I don't mind if you link to it in the comments below. I would definitely want to read that because I didn't have enough time to find anything on it. I wanted to just, report on this story for my channel. Also, what do you think? What do you think of Matt Rife and his friend Elton Castee owning not only Ed and Lorraine's home, which I think should be some sort of a landmark, but also the objects in the Occult Museum that are not limited to just Annabelle. I really don't know what to think of this. I do think it's very irresponsible to sell these objects. Well, not sell them, because Matt Rife has been made the caretaker of them. So the implication being at the end of 5 years, I guess depending on how well things go, he might stay on, he might do other things. I don't know. But I just think it's irresponsible. Because look at the people who were accustomed to dealing with Annabelle. And look, all we have to do is look at what happened to Dan Rivera. God forbid something should happen to Matt Rife. The guy's got millions of fans, an extremely funny and talented comedian. Heck, my own daughter loves the guy. I don't want to see anything happen to him. I don't want to see anything happen to anyone else who has any contact with this doll. And now that they're going to turn the home into some sort of B&B where you can go and investigate and hang out with Annabelle for X amount of time, just think of how many unsuspecting, innocent people are going to be exposed to whatever energies may be in that doll. Who knows what type of dark influence this doll may further exert upon people in general. So what do you think about this? Do you think it's cool that Matt Rife is now going to own a museum filled with haunted and possessed objects, including one of the most infamous dolls on the planet? I have to quantify that because we do have the other one named Robert the Doll that you're not supposed to photograph. And if you photograph him, he gets really mad and then bad things happen to you. Yeah, that's an interesting one, Robert the Doll. If you want to hear more about him, let me know in the comments below and I'll put a video together about that. I just don't get it. I don't understand how they could be so irresponsible, especially when John Zaffis, whom you probably know from the Sci-Fi Channel as the host for the TV show The Haunted Collector, he's the nephew of Ed Warren, and he's got his own museum of haunted objects. Why didn't they make him the caretaker? I don't know. Maybe he's incapable of taking on both. I don't know. It's my understanding he doesn't live too far away from the Warren home. I may be totally off on that. But it's just weird. It's a very strange situation. And to have all this happen hot on the heels of the passing of Dan Rivera is just, it raises a lot of questions in my mind. It raises a lot of doubts. Tony Spera, the guy who organized the Annabelle tour, who he and his wife Judy were the owners of Annabelle, now they're selling the home. Is it because they want to get that thing out of their lives? Because, you know, Judy has never wanted anything to do with the paranormal, despite supposedly having gifts like her mother, Lorraine. So she's never delved into this. She's never been connected with her parents' work. Tony Spera, on the other hand, her husband, has great interest. And he's the one who's been taking Annabelle out on these tours. And Dan Rivera is the individual who was always handling the doll every time it was required that she be moved. And now look what happened to him. I don't know how long the sale was in the works. You know, it can take a minimum of 30 days to close on a property. But, you know, when you're a multimillionaire like Matt Rife, it probably doesn't even take that long because you don't have to go through all the financial protocols, you know. So I don't know. I still have a lot of questions. I doubt people's motives like crazy in this one. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I thank you all for watching. This is Neferkefri of True Tales of the Paranormal. And if you've enjoyed this video, I have a playlist and I've got plenty of other videos on my channel. I invite you to check them all out. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm wishing you all a blessed day ahead.